Good morning, my dear students. Myself Sachin S. Pawar, and I welcome you to my second video on Unit 13 Hydrocarbons. In this video, we will cover the 4 points which are listed on your screen. We'll first go through geometrical isomerism in alkenes, then we will finish methods of preparations of alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. Okay, without wasting the time, let us begin our today's session. Okay, so hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons are basically of different types, and we are learning the open chain hydrocarbons. Open chain hydrocarbons are basically of three types, and that we have learned already in our last video. One is called alkane, alkene, and alkynes. You already know alkanes are saturated open chain hydrocarbons containing carbon-carbon single bonds. Unsaturated hydrocarbons containing at least one carbon-carbon double bond are known as alkenes, and unsaturated hydrocarbons containing at least one unsaturated open chain hydrocarbons containing at least one carbon-carbon triple bond are known as alkynes. And from previous knowledge, you also know that alkanes are having a general formula CnH2n plus 2. Alkenes are having general formula CnH2n. Alkynes are having general formula CnH2n minus 2, where n is an integer like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And in previous unit, that is unit number 12, organic chemistry, some basic principles and technique, you have learned that this n refers to the root word, and these root words you must know. N is equal to 1 means myth, n is equal to 2 means ith, n is equal to 3 means probe, n is equal to 4 means view, n is equal to 5 means pent, 6 hex, 7 hept, 8 oct, 9 known, and 10th one is dec. We already know this, we are going to use this. Okay, so this is the general formula for alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. As far as alkanes are concerned, we have another name for these compounds. We know alkanes as paraffins. Actually, this is a Latin word. Paraffin is a Latin word, meaning it is made up of two Latin words, parum and affin. Parum means little, and affinity means affinity. That is, alkanes have got alkanes are called as paraffins because they are chemically very less reactive. They have a little reactivity towards chemical reactions, and that's why they are called as paraffins. Alkenes, on the other hand, they are called as olefins. This name for alkene is obtained from Greek word, that is olefants. If you take any alkene as such, any alkene appears to be like it's oil forming. It is like an oilish liquid. It forms oils. Alkenes can be used to prepare oils. In olden days, alkenes, and nowadays also we use alkenes for manufacture of oils, and that's why alkenes are called as oil forming, that is olefins. Some of the examples of alkanes, alkenes, alkynes we shall see, and then we'll go further. Some of the examples. Now, based on the general formula, I can write the examples. Suppose I have methane, CH4, then next is ethane, that is C2H6, ethane, 2 carbons, C3H, 3 into 2, 6 plus 2 is 8, C3H8 is propane, C4H10 is butane, C5H12, C5, that is 5 into 2 plus 2, C5H12 is pentane, C6H14, 6 into 2 plus 2, hexane, and so on. I can write plenty of examples. Similarly, if we go to examples of alkenes, alkenes basically consist of at least one carbon-carbon double bond. Therefore, we require minimum 2 carbon atoms. So it should start from eth. So it should start from eth. That is C2H4 is ethene. C3H6 is propene. C4H8 butene, and so on. Here ethynes, they should contain at least one triple bond. Therefore we should start with 2 carbons. Therefore here we have C2H4, that is ethyne. C3H, it is C2H2. C2H2 because CnH2 and minus 2 it is. So C2H2. C2H2 is ethyne. C3H6 minus 2 is 4. C3H4. C3H4 is propine. C4H8 minus 2, 6, butane, and so on are some of the examples of alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. Here we will go through the structure of the ethene, ethene, and ethyne. That are the first members, which are 2 carbon compounds. Okay, we shall go through the structures quickly. The structures of ethene, ethyne, and ethene are on your screen, and this is already you have learnt in the topic called chemical bonding, unit number 4 for PUC first year. And you already know that in this carbon is tetravalent. In all these carbon is tetravalent. Each carbon atom is forming 4 bonds. Just check C, H, 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 C, 4 bonds. And if you just check the number of atoms attached to it, the carbon atom in this ethene is sp3 hybridized. It is sp3 hybridized, and since it is sp3 hybridized, the structure should be tetrahedral and the bond angle should be 109 degrees 28 minutes. And as you see here, this bond angle is 109 degrees 28 minutes. 109 degrees 28 minutes. Here the carbon atom, every carbon atom is bonded to 3 different atoms, and therefore, as you have learnt in the previous unit, it is sp2 hybridized carbon atom linked with 3 different atoms. Sp2 hybridized structure will be trigonal planar, and the bond angle would be around 120. That is, here you see it is 121.7 degrees. Here you see the carbon. Each carbon atom is bonded to 2 different groups, 2 different atoms, and therefore according to the rules it should be sp hybridization. Every carbon atom is sp hybridization. Structure should be linear and the bond angle would be 180 degrees. Regarding the length of the bonds, if you just check, in ethane, carbon bond length, single bond length is 1.54 picometers. Carbon hydrogen single bond, if I just take, it is 112 picometers. In case of this, in case of ethenes, you see carbon carbon double bond is 1.34 picometers. 1.34 picometers. This is C double bond C. C single bond H, if I just take, then it is 110 picometers. 110 picometers. Bond angles are different here. Here it is 116 and 1 to 1.7. That why these bond angles are different, that you have learned by a concept known as VSEPR theory. VSEPR theory in PUC first year chemical bonding topic. You have learned the repulsion forces between the bonds and lone pairs lead to bond pairs and lone pairs, and all those things you have learned. So repulsive forces between the bonds may change the bond angle slightly, and here we see carbon HCH bond angle is 116.6 and HCC bond angle is 121.7. Similarly, here you see the carbon triple bond is of 120 picometers, and that of carbon hydrogen bond is you see it is 106 picometers. Now, point to be noted, if you see carbon carbon single bond length, double bond length and triple bond length, the bond length you see they are decreasing as you move from single bond to double bond to triple bond. And since the bond length is decreasing, the two carbon atoms are coming very close to one another as I move from single bond to double bond to triple bond. Single bond, double bond, triple bond. And that's why triple bond should be more stronger bond than single bond, because the two carbon atoms are far in single bond and close in triple bond, and in between for double bond. So bond length and bond strength should go on increasing from single bond to double bond to triple bond. Single bond, from single bond to double bond to triple bond, bond strength should increase. And this is one point you must know, that here here the bond strength is decreasing in this order. So triple bonds are more reactive. Double bond are again double bonds. Okay, this is regarding the bond strengths. Okay, let's quickly move on to the next part now. Okay, so next part is geometrical isomerism in alkenes. Geometrical isomerism in alkenes. We will go for that. Now, as far as geometrical isomerism in alkene is concerned, it is similar to what is known as structural isomerism in alkanes, but slightly different here. In alkenes we have got carbon-carbon double bond. Okay, and the two atoms are attached to every carbon. Three elements are attached. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so here this carbon is attached to three atoms, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and carbon, and this carbon is attached to 1, 2 and carbon. So here you see there is structural arrangement. Geometrical isomers, they will be having same molecular and structural formulas. These compounds will have same molecular and structural formula, but they will have different arrangement of atoms or groups about the carbon-carbon double bonds. These are the geometrical isomers. They are having same molecular formula, same structural formula, but they have different arrangement of atoms or groups around the carbon-carbon double bond. And that you will see that you will get two such isomers. One is called as cis isomer, Another is called as trans isomer. Cis isomer is the one where similar groups are on same side of double bond. Same side of double bond. And trans is one where similar groups are on the opposite side of double bond. To understand, let us take an example of 2-butene. If you just take 2-butene, I can write two structures here. You see carbon double bond. If I just take in carbon double bond, you see that similar groups, that is methyl on same side of the double bond, therefore it should be cis butene. Here the methyl groups are on the opposite side, similar groups are on the opposite side of the double bond, and therefore they are referred to as trans isomers. So geometrical isomers are the isomers where they have got same molecular and structural formula, but they have different arrangement of atoms or groups. Atoms, you see H, different atoms. H atoms are on same side of double bond, cis. H atoms are on opposite side, it is trans. So this is regarding the definition of geometrical isomerism. Okay. Question comes, why these geometrical isomers are existing? Now for this I need to just go to the topic chemical bonding and I have to explain you. Atomic number of carbon is 6. So the configuration would be here 1s2, 2s2, 2p2, 2p2, and the excited state configuration would be here. One electron from 2s should jump to 2p, so it is 1s2. One electron from 2s should jump to 2pz, and it becomes 2s1, 2px1, 2py1, and 2pz1. And as a result, here you see, here it will undergo sp2 hybridization, as you have learnt in your PUC first year chemical bonding topic. So here sp2 hybridization will take place. That means one s orbital and two p orbitals will combine, and as a result carbon atom will have both the carbon atoms. In fact, both the sp2 hybridization will be there. Both the carbon atoms, as you see on this side, they are having sp2 hybrid orbitals. Now sp2 hybrid orbital is trigonal structure, as I have told you just now. So we have sp2 hybrid orbitals of one carbon atom. Now sp2 hybrid orbital of one carbon atom will head on overlap with one sp2 hybrid orbital of other carbon atom, and it forms a sigma bond. And the remaining two sp2 hybrid orbitals will be remain as it is, and they will overlap with 1s. Now for example, here if I just take these are orbitals are for bonding purpose. Along with this, you see there is 2pz orbital intact with one electron, and this 2pz orbital is perpendicular to the plane of this, and these will overlap sideways. And because of sideways overlap, it is going to form pi bonds, and because of sideways overlap, there will be a locking system. Here you see on the left hand side, and as a result of locking, there is no rotation. The rotation about the carbon-carbon bond is not possible, because this is forming a pi cloud pi cloud above and below the carbon-carbon single bond, as you can see in this figure. So because of that, there is rotation is not possible, and since rotation about the carbon-carbon bond is not possible, you will see that these cis cannot be converted into trans by rotation about the double bond. Rotation about the double bond is not possible. So cis and trans will have their own existence, and it is mainly because of restricted rotation about the carbon-carbon double bond. And if we ask you what is the reason for geometrical isomers to exist, what is the reason for cis and trans isomers to exist, the reason is that there is a restricted rotation about the carbon-carbon double bond. Restricted rotation about the carbon-carbon double bond, that is responsible for geometrical isomers to exist. Let us quickly, okay, this is regarding geometrical isomers. Let us quickly move on to important properties of geometrical isomers. Okay, properties of geometrical isomers. Okay, the first property. The property number 1. Cis form of alkene is found to be more polar than trans form. Cis form of alkene is found to be more polar. Cis form is more polar than trans form. Why? Let's understand this with the help of the example which I have cited here, that is cis butene and trans butene. Now you know every bond, when I say a bond XY, you know a bond XY, it is formed by sharing of electrons between the two atoms. Single bond means one electron pair is shared. You know, out of this, one atom is electronegative, one atom is electropositive. So electron will be withdrawn towards this. As a result, it will be withdrawn to one of the atom, that is electronegative atom. Electronegative atom. Suppose X is more electronegative than Y, then electrons will be withdrawn towards X. Here you see carbon, a double bonded carbon atom is more electronegative than the single bonded carbon atom. As a result, the electrons will be moving towards that electron negative atom, and when it moves, you will see a negative charge and a positive charge separation. So there will be a charge separation. There will be a charge separation, minus charge, and this becomes a polar bond. When polar bond is coming to picture, okay, the bond becomes polar. That you have learned already in chemical bonding part. When the bond, how the bond becomes polar. Now, if you see it carefully, in single bond, in cis isomers, see the double bond is negative. Double bonded carbon atoms are negative, and carbon atoms of CH3 are positive. As a result, you see the electron displacement should take place. Electrons displacement of the bond should take place towards the negative, that is towards the double bonded carbon atom. And you see in cis, the electron displacement is taking place on same direction. Here C to C, CH3 to C, CH3 to C. So it is taking place on same direction. And since this is a directional property, it becomes a vector property, and when two vectors are moving in same direction, they will add together, and as a result of that, it will be polar, it will remain polar. However, in trans isomers, you see in trans isomers, this bond, if you just take, then the electron displacement is towards the double bond carbon, and here also electron displacement is towards the double bonded carbon. However, they are acting in opposite direction. The electron displacements are acting in opposite direction, and they are acting in opposite direction, and the force of action is the magnitude of the force is same. So as a result, when two vector quantities of same magnitude operate in opposite direction, they cancel each other. So the polarity due to the first bond is cancelled by the other, and this becomes less polar or non-polar, and that is known by a magnetic moment. You know, it has magnetic moment you have learnt in chemical bonding. Magnetic moment is charge into displacement. charge into distance of separation, and it is determined in terms of dBi. It is determined in terms of dBi, and you see that cis isomer has got 0.33 dBi, 0.33 dBi of magnetic moment, that is more polar than cis, and that's the explanation for the first point. Cis form of alkene is found to be more polar than trans form. Okay. Second point also is covered here. Trans-but-2-ene is non-polar. Why I have just now explained. Here you see electron displacement of this bond is towards carbon. Obviously, all are towards carbon only. If you want me to explain it, I will explain it in the other structure. Okay, so if you just take a double bond, you see we have methyl group. This is hydrogen, a methyl hydrogen, and methyl, it is trans. It is trans because two CH3 groups are opposite side. So electron displacement of this bond is towards this, and these two are acting in opposite direction. Therefore, they cancel. And here you see electron displacement is towards this, and they are again acting in opposite direction. Therefore, they cancel. So net result is there is no dipole moment. Polarity is lost. Polarity due to this bond is lost by this. Polarity due to this bond is lost by this. As a result, it becomes a non-polar substance, and a dipole moment will be 0 for trans-but-2-ene. This is regarding the geometrical isomer properties. The next property you see, it is the next properties. Okay, the next property, if you just take, then you will find the next property. Cis isomer is having higher melting point than trans. Melting point of, see, if you just compare the melting point, if you compare, melting point of cis isomer of butene is 1.34, and that is 167 Kelvin for trans. So here the cis isomer is having lower melting point than trans. And as far as the boiling point is concerned, if you just take boiling point 277, 274, so you see boiling point of cis isomer is higher than the boiling point of trans isomers. The explanation regarding this is not mentioned in your government text, therefore I am not explaining it, but this is required for your competitive exam. Therefore all the 4 properties I have covered for you people in this particular session. So this is regarding geometrical isomerism. What are geometrical isomers? An example for that, and then we have geometrical isomers, the properties. We have learnt geometrical isomers of isomers, that is cis-trans isomers, cis-trans geometrical isomers. Actually, for competitive exam you have got E and Z isomers also, but E and Z isomers are not mentioned in your government text, therefore I am not explaining it. That you will learn for your competitive exams. Okay, so this is regarding geometrical isomerism. Okay, now let's move on to the next part of the today's session, that is preparations of alkanes. We will go through preparations of alkanes. Okay, preparations of alkanes. Now, as far as preparations of alkanes are concerned, you have got 3 methods. One method is from unsaturated hydrocarbons. Second method is from alkyl halides, and there are 2 more methods. And third method is from by Kolb's reaction. by Kolb's reaction. So in general we have got three reactions. We have three methods by which we can prepare alkanes. One from corresponding unsaturated hydrocarbons, one from alkyl halides, and third one is by Kolb's reaction. So we'll see one by one the examples. Let's see them one by one. First, from unsaturated hydrocarbons. Now when I say unsaturated hydrocarbons, either they are alkenes or they are alkynes. Either they are alkenes or they are alkynes. So here from unsaturated means we are preparing it from alkenes. From alkenes. From alkenes if you want to prepare. How to prepare that? From alkenes if you want to prepare, then if you just compare alkene, that is say for example alkene, if you just compare alkene and alkane, you see the difference is there is a double bond in alkenes and single bond in alkanes. So if you want to convert this, alkene into alkane, then again the general formula will tell you CnH2n and CnH2n plus 2. So here two hydrogens are more in alkanes than in alkenes. Therefore we have to go for a process known as hydrogenation. Here what is done is simply the alkene is just simply heated. Alkene is simply heated with platinum, palladium, nickel catalyst with hydrogen gas. Alkene is heated with hydrogen gas. Alkene, you just take alkene and you mix it with hydrogen gas in presence of catalyst such as platinum, palladium, nickel, etc., and we have to heat it. The reaction is that the hydrogen molecules will add on to this. Just to give an example, you see ethene, CH2 double bond CH2, when you heat it with hydrogen gas, the two hydrogen atoms will combine. One hydrogen atom will go to this carbon atom, one hydrogen will go to this carbon atom, CH2 becomes CH3, CH2 becomes CH3, I got ethane. So ethene when reacts with hydrogen gas in presence of platinum or palladium or nickel, it forms ethane. This is one example. Other example is there, propane to propane. Propane, you know it as CH3 CH2 CH3. So propene is CH3 CH2 double bond CH2. So if I want to convert into that, the double bond, I need to add one more hydrogen here. So propene reacts with hydrogen gas in presence of platinum or palladium or nickel to form propane. This is the first method of preparation of alkanes from unsaturated hydrocarbons. Next we'll go on from method of preparation from alkyl halides. What are alkyl halides? Basically you must know alkyl halides are those in which the hydrocarbon alkane you replace the hydrogen atom of the alkane by halogen. It becomes RX, that is alkyl halide. Alkyl halide IUPAC name is alkane. Alkyl halide IUPAC name is haloalkanes. Halo means X may be chlorine, bromine, iodine, fluorine, and so on. Okay, haloalkanes, chloroalkanes, bromoalkanes, iodoalkanes, and so on. I have to prepare. There are two methods for this. First method is by reduction with zinc dust. What you need to take is you want to prepare a corresponding alkane. Say for example I want to prepare methane. I have to start with its corresponding alkane, alkyl halide. So corresponding alkyl halide means methane means remove one hydrogen. You have got CH3Cl. So from CH3Cl we can prepare it. We can prepare methane. From CH3Cl we can prepare methane. Simply as to what has to be done, we have to just heat it with hydrogen gas in presence of zinc and H plus. You have to react it with zinc and H plus, zinc dust and hydrogen chloride, the corresponding alkyl halide, when it is heated with zinc dust in concentrated hydrochloric acid, reaction takes place and chloroethane is converted to this. So here what happens is zinc dust is going to give you the nascent hydrogens. Okay, so here some examples are cited. I am just explaining one example. I am just giving one example here. You see alkyl halides. Okay, so this is alkyl halide, a reduction with zinc dust, zinc in hydrogen chloride. Here, in place of zinc in hydrogen chloride, you can also use some other reducing agents as well. We can use hydrogen gas with platinum and palladium that we have seen. We can use hydrogen iodide in red phosphorus. We can use zinc copper couple in ethanol. We can use lithium aluminium hydride, sodium borohydride. This you will learn in PU second year organic chemistry. So this is method number 2, conversion of alkyl halides to alkanes. Just to give one more example, suppose I want to prepare here say ethene, CH3CH3. I want to prepare ethene. So if I want to prepare ethene, I need to convert into corresponding, I need to use the corresponding alkyl halide. Corresponding alkyl halide would be the one which is having one hydrogen atom less, replaced by halogen. So I will say it is CH3 CH2, replace one hydrogen atom by halogen. You may take bromine, you may take chlorine, you may take iodine. So you have to react it with hydrogen in presence of zinc and HCl, or simply react with these chemicals. More of the examples you will be cited in PU second year about this, because this is a separate topic itself. Alkyl halide is a separate topic itself in second year. Okay, one more reaction is there for conversion of alkyl halides to alkenes, alkyl halides to alkanes, that is called as Woods reaction. But before I go further into this, I would like to conclude one point here regarding method 1. See, we are preparing it from corresponding alkanes, corresponding unsaturated hydrocarbons. Alkanes are prepared from alkenes. Since alkanes are prepared from alkenes contain at least one double bond. So we cannot prepare methane from this method. Methane cannot be prepared by this method. Why? Because methane contains one carbon atom and any unsaturated hydrocarbon will contain minimum 2 carbon atoms. Therefore, methane cannot be prepared by this first method, that is by hydrogenation of unsaturated hydrocarbon. But a methane can be prepared from a corresponding alkyl halide either by reduction or by Woods reaction. That we shall see in the next part. Okay, so next, Woods reaction. What is Woods reaction? Now Woods reaction is the name is the scientist name who discovered that, chemist who discovered it. Woods reaction is, you just take the alkyl halide, corresponding alkyl halide, mix it with sodium metal in dry ether medium. So alkyl halide are mixed with sodium in dry ether medium. The reaction take place and you will get alkanes. This is what is known as Woods reaction. Just to give an example, you take ethene for example. I want to prepare corresponding alkyl halide would be here. Corresponding alkyl halide, actually what happens is, here there is a new bond formation. So if I want to prepare alkanes by Woods reaction, then I need to go for say I want to prepare alkanes, then say I want to prepare ethane. Then for Woods reaction you break this. Imagine and then you will get corresponding alkyl halides. So corresponding alkyl halide would be, you require CH3X, or you say chlorine atom, and CH3Cl. So 2 Cl atoms you require for getting, 2 CH3Cl atoms you require for getting ethane. So here this is analogy, you understand. Then you take alkyl halide. Alkyl halide is mixed with sodium and dry ether. You will get corresponding alkane. Say for example, here you have bromomethane CH3Br. Bromomethane, when it is reacted with sodium in dry ether, two molecules of bromomethane combine to form ethane. Suppose I want propane, I want butane, then for butane I know the formula is CH3 CH2 CH2, so I'll just break into two equal parts. So the starting material would be CH3 CH2, you take Cl or Br, whatever. This is bromoethane or ethyl bromide. So ethyl bromide or bromoethane. Bromoethane, when it is heated with sodium, two molecules of ethyl bromide reacts with sodium in dry ether to form butane. One point is, here in Wood's reaction there is formation of a new carbon-carbon bond, and since two carbon atoms are involved in one bond, I cannot synthesize methane by this method. Methane cannot be synthesized using this method. So this is regarding Wood's reaction. Next, Kolb's electrolysis. Now, Kolb's electrolysis. Kolb's is a scientist. Electrolytic method. This is the method. Simple. What to do is, you take the sodium salt of an acid of carboxylic acid. Carboxylic acid general formula is RCOOH. The sodium salt of carboxylic acid means you need to take replace this hydrogen atom by sodium, so you will get RCOONA. Sodium salt of carboxylic acid we need to use. Okay, we need to use sodium salt of carboxylic acid. So this is sodium carboxylate. General name is sodium carboxylate. This is simply, you take in aqueous medium, so put it in the water, you will get aqueous of this aqueous sodium carboxylate, and just you have to pass electricity into this. Just pass electricity. You have to carry out electrolysis of this. When you carry out electrolysis of this, what happens is a simple idea. Two of such molecules will react. The two R groups which are there, the two R groups, that is alkyl groups which are there, they will combine to form R, that is alkane. The carbon dioxide molecule which is there, it will combine to form carbon dioxide. And aqueous means there is a water molecule. Water is H2O, HOH. So you see what happens is Na will combine with OH to form NaOH, and the hydrogen which is there from water will form hydrogen. And this is the reaction. So if you want to prepare, say, ethane, I want to prepare ethane, then ethane I want to prepare, then what I need to do is I need to break this. I need a corresponding carboxylic acid containing two carbon atoms. So carboxyl group is already having one carbon atom. I require one more carbon atom, so I require this CH, and carbon valency is 3, therefore you have to use CH3COOH, sodium salt of this, that is CH3COONA. This is sodium acetate. So aqueous solution of sodium acetate is electrolyzed. Ethane and carbon dioxide is formed. Ethane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen and sodium hydroxide are formed. The point to be noted here is we are carrying out electrolysis. Electrolysis means we have a solution and two electrodes dipped in it, and we have a electricity. We have a cathode and anode. So here two products are formed. Always on electrolysis of a solution, we get products at two electrodes. You will see ethane and carbon dioxide, they are formed at anode, and hydrogen gas is formed at cathode, and the remaining solution will be there. It will have sodium hydroxide. This is Kolb's electrolysis. So Kolb's electrolysis or electrolytic method is electrolysis of aqueous solution of sodium carboxylate. You will get alkanes and carbon dioxide at anode, hydrogen gas at cathode, and sodium hydroxide in the solution. And this completes the methods of preparations of alkanes. Next, methods of preparations of alkenes. We'll go for. Okay. Now alkenes. When I say methods of preparations of alkenes, we have a first method, which is preparation of cis alkenes and trans alkenes. We shall see. One example for that is I'll take 2-butene from 2-butene. One example. Okay. Cis means two methyl groups are on same side of double bond, and trans means two methyl groups are on the opposite side of double bond. I want cis to butene and trans to butene. I need to use 2-butene. 2-butene is the triple bond on second carbon atom. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, 2-butene. So I require 2-butene here. I want to convert 2-butene into cis and trans. We have a different reaction. You see, triple bond is converted into a double bond in both cases. So you see here C should become CH. Rest all is same. But to get cis butene, I have to adopt Lindlar's catalyst, react it with hydrogen gas. Whereas for trans butene, you require sodium in liquid ammonia. So if you want cis butene, simply what you have to do is you have to take the corresponding alkyne, that is 2-butene, react it with hydrogen gas in the presence of Lindlar's catalyst. So Lindlar's catalyst will react with it, and you will see that these two hydrogen atoms will add on here on these carbon atoms, and you will end up with cis 2-butene, where we have similar groups are on same side of double bond. So Lindlar's catalyst is a catalyst meant for converting alkynes to cis alkenes. So catalyst used for preparation of cis isomers of alkenes is Lindlar's catalyst. What is it? It is nothing but a palladized charcoal, that is palladium and charcoal is mixed together. It is partially charcoal, and it is poisoned with sulfur compound such as sulfur compound or quinoline. That's it. You take palladium, pieces of palladium, mix it in charcoal gets deactivated by adding some poison. That is, the reactivity of that charcoal is decreased by adding some poison. The poison is, you either add some sulfur compounds or you add quinoline. So this is Lindlar's catalyst, specifically meant for preparation of cis alkenes. One example is here. If you replace Lindlar's catalyst by sodium in liquid ammonia, you will end up with trans isomer. This is regarding preparation of cis and trans isomers. So 2-butane when reacts with hydrogen gas in presence of sodium in liquid ammonia or liquid ammonia, it forms trans 2-butane. Okay, next method number 2, dehydrohalogenation of alkyl halides. You need to take the alkyl halide, say RX, and you have to go for dehydrohalogenation. Dehydrohalogenation means you have to remove one hydrogen and one halogen atom from it. Remove hydrogen and halogen from it. This is called as dehydrohalogenation. For dehydrohalogenating, we have to use the reagent. The reagent employed is alcoholic solution of potash, KOH, alcoholic potash. We use alcoholic potash. Here there will be a beta elimination. There will be beta elimination. What I will explain it to you. Suppose I have an alkyl halide. So the halogen atom is attached to the carbon chain. Okay. Then please remember the group attached to that carbon atom is called okay. We have, this is a beta carbon atom, this is alpha carbon atom. The functional group attached to alpha carbon atom, beta, gamma, delta. That is actually in IUPAC nomenclature we say it as 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Okay. Now here we are removing beta elimination. That means we are removing the hydrogen atom from beta carbon atom. From beta carbon atom. And from beta carbon atom. And halogen atom we are removing from alpha carbon atom. And since hydrogen atom is removed from beta carbon atom, we call it as beta elimination. Just to understand this, let's take an example. I want to prepare, say, propene. I'll just go for I'll just clean this out. Okay, suppose I want to prepare ethene. Ethene is, ethene is C double bond C. Okay, I want to prepare ethene, C double bond C. Okay, so ethene is or I'll write it simple. I will write ethene as okay, CH2 double bond CH2. I want to prepare it from corresponding alkyl halide. Corresponding alkyl halide means 2 carbon alkyl halide. That means I need to use CH3 CH2 Br. X, say I will take chlorine. So this is chloroethane. I have to use chloroethane. Okay, suppose I want to prepare propene. Then I need to use corresponding alkyl halide. So 3 carbon, I will use CH3 CH2 CH2 Cl, say. So this is chloropropane I can use. So dehydrohalogenation. Dehydrohalogenation means you have to remove halogen from alpha carbon atom and hydrogen from beta carbon atom. So here from this one hydrogen atom is gone. So 3 hydrogen becomes 2 hydrogens. And halogen goes in CH2. So to compensate the valency, you have a double bond. So here a reaction goes like this. When alkyl halide is heated with alcoholic potash, it undergoes dehydrohalogenation reaction to form corresponding alkenes. Okay. I hope this is understood. Let's move on to the next part now. That is the third, dehalogenation of vicinal dihalides. Now, what do you mean by vicinal dihalides? Vicinal dihalides means you have a carbon atom in the carbon chain. In the carbon chain, if the two halogen atoms are on the adjacent carbon atoms, then the two halogen atoms are on the adjacent carbon atoms, then they are known as vicinal dihalides. Okay, now these vicinal dihalides, they have to be simply heated with zinc dust. Heated with zinc dust, you will get corresponding alkene. You will get corresponding alkene. You will get corresponding alkene means the zinc will take away the two halogen atoms, and what happens is you will be getting C, the carbon chain. So the bond is broken, therefore here we'll get a double bond, alkene. Will get alkene. So just to give an example here, you see ethene I want to prepare. So if I want to prepare ethene, then corresponding alkyl halide is here we are using corresponding vicinal dihalide. I want ethene, so let me clean this. Okay, I want ethene to prepare. So ethene is CH2 double bond CH2. So I need corresponding vicinal dihalide. So I need to say CH2 and these should be attached to two halogens. So I will take this. So this is 1,2 dibromoethane. So I require 1,2 dibromoethane. So 1,2 dibromoethane is heated with zinc dust. You will get ethene. Zinc will combine with Br and form zinc bromide. Similarly, suppose I want to prepare propene. Propene is CH3 CH2 CH double bond CH2. Then see, I want corresponding vicinal dihalide. So I will just break the double bond CH3 CH CH2. So vicinal dihalide means I require here two halogens on the adjacent carbon atoms. So I will say here Br. So what is this? This is what is this? This is 1,2 dibromopropane. So 1,2 dibromopropane, when it is heated with zinc dust, you will end up with propene, and zinc will take away the bromine atom to form zinc bromide. This is the third reaction of preparation of alkyl halides. Next one, dehydration. Okay, what is dehydration? The meaning of dehydration. Dehydration means, D means removing water molecules, elements of water, means removing H and OH. So if it is removing H and OH, means I have to start with alcohols only, and that is again a beta elimination. Suppose I want to prepare a corresponding alkene. Say I want to prepare here ethene, say for example. Then I need to start from an alcohol, which is corresponding alcohol. So double bond I will break up. You will get here CH2, CH2. I will write this as OH, and here I will add H. So this is CH3, CH3, CH2OH. This is CH3, CH2OH. This is ethanol, IUPAC name, ethyl alcohol, common name. So that alcohol, you simply have to heat it with concentrated sulfuric acid. Concentrated sulfuric acid being the best dehydrating agent, it will remove the element of water molecules from it. H and OH is removed and you will get corresponding alkene. Say for example, I want to prepare propene. CH3, CH double bond, CH2. I want to prepare propene. Then for preparation of propene I require corresponding alcohol. I will take the corresponding alcohol as CH2, CH, CH2, I'll keep it as it is, and I'll connect these to OH and EH. Simply I have to add concentrated sulfuric acid to it and heat. The elements of water molecules will go out, they will combine to form water. What is this? This is again CH3, CH2, CH2OH, that is propanol. To be specific, it is 1 propanol. So this is dehydration of alcohols. Again, you see it carefully here. It is like dehydrohalogenation. This is also beta elimination, because the hydrogen atom is on the beta carbon atom, not alpha carbon atom. OH is there, beta carbon atom, therefore it is beta elimination, beta carbon atom, beta elimination. The hydrogen atom is going from beta. This is regarding the methods of preparations of alkenes. The last one, the method of preparation of alkyne, and in your syllabus they have given only one method, so we'll quickly go. This is method of preparation of ethyne only, they have asked. Method of preparation of ethyne only, this could be a ethyne, and from calcium carbide. It is an industrial method. Here it has 3 steps: step 1, step 2, step 3. In step 1 you take limestone, that is calcium carbonate, and you have to heat it. When you heat it, it will split into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Calcium oxide is called as quicklime. Step 1. Then quicklime is taken and it is then heated with coke. Coke is carbon. So calcium oxide, when it is heated with coke, it forms calcium carbide, that is CaC2. Carbon monoxide being a gas escapes out. This calcium carbide in step number 3, calcium carbide, that calcium carbide in step number 3. Okay, I'm sorry, this is again same reaction. I need to cancel this out. Okay, here it is. So step number 3. So step number 3, you see calcium carbide is heated with water, calcium carbide is treated with water. Calcium carbide will take away the water molecule, OH molecule, and forms calcium hydroxide, and ethyne is formed. So this is a simple method for preparation of alkynes, and this completes my today's session. So to just go back in this today's session, we have just gone through what are alkanes, alkenes, alkynes. geometrical isomers and their properties of alkenes, geometrical isomers of alkenes and their properties, and methods of preparations of alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. This is all for today's class. The remaining part of the topic we shall cover it in next class. Thank you.